Students, welcome to your video about learning Adobe Spark. I'm so excited to get started on your Project 3 portfolios. So you're going to be creating a web page, essentially, of your work that will include your reflective essay and your various artifacts that you've chosen. So now that you all have free access to Adobe Spark via the UA software, you can go to the Spark page and it'll look like this. And under projects, you will want to create a page. And the reason you're creating a page is so that you can build an entire website. So from here, you can add a title and a subtitle, or what I would recommend is maybe exploring some themes. So these are some built-in themes that already have things like the font and certain style choices. You by no means have to choose a theme, it just might be a good way to get started. So we're going to add a little whimsy to our video, so that is the theme I picked. So here you could title this lots of different ways. You could say a writer portfolio, a student portfolio. You might add a subtitle that's more descriptive if you wish. You can also, if you click this little button here, you can add a background photo. So as you're clicking through photos, my biggest recommendation would go to find free photos and type in something like writer. The reason why is because all of these will be cited in your portfolio. If you do bring in outside photos, you will have to cite them at the bottom. So I kind of like this, so let's see what that looks like. Awesome. So as you'll see here, it says scroll to start your story. So there are multiple things you can do from here. You can add another photo, you can add text, a button, which we'll get to in a second, a video, a photo grid. So what a photo grid is a couple of pictures that are all clustered together. So let's say we choose these 3 images. So you can have a cluster of photos. Make sure to always click save. And if you are using Adobe Spark with Wi-Fi, you will always be able to, it'll save as you work. But note that it won't save if you are not connected to Wi-Fi. So here you could add a caption, so say like images of writers or something like that. You can also create what's called a glide show, and I would highly recommend doing this. And what this does is you will be able to choose a bunch of photos, and then as you scroll down, you can click texts and various buttons and things like that to explain. So for example, we are going to choose, let's grab some books. Let's also grab some coffee or tea. I know for me, all my good writing happens when coffee's involved. And finally, let's choose, here are a lot of typewriters. So we'll just go with the typewriter. Why not? So we'll click save. And now you'll notice that as you scroll, you have these background photos. So now that I have this background photo, I'm going to click another button, and you can create either another photo, a text, a button, or a video. I want to show you the button function because you all will have an external Google Drive folder with your artifacts for Project 3. Make sure that your settings are anyone with the link can view. It is essential that you have that, or else we won't be able to use your portfolio. So say I name my artifact draft of rhetorical analysis. I would then put in the URL of the Drive file. But for now, we're just going to put in Google as a placeholder. And as you will notice, if we then go to preview, you will be able to click on this link and it'll take you directly to that external source. You can also add a text box. So you could explain this by kind of giving some context. So saying something like, it was our first project. In this case, it would be our second project. You can do that. As you'll notice, anytime you click enter, it adds another space. If you delete, it'll go back. This can kind of help contextualize what your artifact is. You can also maybe create a video where you contextualize the project. I would recommend going to YouTube and embedding your video that way. If you need extra help on that, please see the additional video on how to upload to YouTube. Excellent. So as you're scrolling, you can do a multitude of things. You can have all of your artifacts. You could split it up by project. You could split it up by learning outcomes. There's all sorts of things you can do to kind of play around and organize your portfolio. In the end, you just want to make sure that all of your artifacts are accessible by the viewer, that your portfolio is reflective of your work and your personality. So maybe coffee isn't your thing when you're writing. You by no means have to have any typewriters or anything that you feel is not representative of you and your writing process. And lastly, notice that when you do preview, you can click on things to check your work. You can also notice at the end the credits. So it has already given you credits for these images. As you're working, I highly recommend organizing and reorganizing. One really cool feature you could also do is if you go back to your home screen, you could duplicate your portfolio and then you could click on it and kind of explore. So if you want to see what it looks like if you take out, say, this section, then you can compare and contrast your two portfolios. Excellent. So as you begin working on this and think about writing, think about the rhetorical situation. So who is your audience? What is the purpose of this portfolio? And what choices you might make to represent yourself as a writer and to kind of illustrate to that audience who you are and how you are fulfilling the purpose of sharing your best writer self. As you continue, feel free to email me any questions or concerns that you have. I'm so excited to see what you come up with and to kind of celebrate your creativity in Project 3.